What's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. So I did a therapy session before calling my grandparent and uncle, and I'm doing a therapy session now after speaking to them. I brought myself to speak to them. Proud of myself for doing that, and I got a lot of good energy from my uncle, man. He made me feel a lot better. You know, people help you the way they know how. You know what I mean? People know they help you the way you know how, and if you're open enough to listen to their suggestions, and you're open enough to receive what it is they can give you, you can help yourself. And so I think that's what I got. You know, my uncle asked me to check up some things that he's been working on spiritually and some things that he feels will kind of redirect my mind. One of the things he also mentioned was, you know, when I say I and proclaim things on my own, it's time to start allowing God to be a part of what it is that I do. Say we, so that I don't feel alone and things of that nature. Reaffirming oneself to trust in the divine when you are a believer. So I don't want to get too preachy on here, but those are things that help me as a believer. And I was able to tell them what I'm going through, man. I told them what was going on with the car, told them what was going on with unemployment, told them how bad things had gotten in terms of soap and toothbrushes and stuff like that. I told them that I'm not quitting. I didn't tell them how, you know, what I've been telling you guys, which is that quitting has been something I've been thinking a lot about. But the point is, I'm still here. You know what I mean? If I was going to quit, I probably would have did it already or whatever. So the point is, I got good energy from my family, and that's ultimately what I needed. Aside from money and stuff like that, they'll help me. I know they will. I told them what was going on. They hear me, you know. And that's all I could ask for, man. You know, when you have anxiety and issues with bringing yourself to do things, sometimes it can be detrimental to tell people what you're going through because you think they're not going to understand. But what I'm so blessed to be able to articulate myself in a very clear and concise manner to where I was able to describe to them everything that's going on in a way that kind of made it so that they had to understand. You know what I mean? So I'm very, very fortunate, the gift of being able to speak. But I also want to say in this camera that I never ever want anybody to think that I think I'm smarter than them because they may not speak the way that I'm able to speak. I'm a natural born wordsmith. I'm a poet. You know, I've been able to read since I was about 8 months old. That comes naturally to me. But if you put some math in front of me, I'm crap at math. You know what I mean? If you tell me to go out there and dunk a basketball, I can't get off the ground. Like, there are things that I cannot do that will always make me stay true to the fact that I'm just another guy. Even with the gifts that I believe in, the confidence that I hold in those gifts, I still suffer great mental illnesses. I still suffer shortcomings as a person. I still suffer my financial ills or what have you. I'm never going to, even if I were to get more, whatever that means, even if I were to have more, to get it together, I'm never going to think that I'm better than somebody who speaks lesser in a way or doesn't have the words to bring it together to make it okay for other people to understand them, or somebody who may not cook as well as I may feel I cook, or whatever it may be. I ain't better than you. So that's the first thing I want to say before I get into anything else. I ain't better than nobody. I'm good enough as a person for myself, though. I love me, you know what I mean? And that's why I haven't necessarily quit, even though I speak of quitting as a means of escape. I got family, friends, people that love me, people that are rooting for me, and they're worth fighting for. They're worth getting through this for. You know, a guy like my uncle, he's worth getting through this for. My grandfather, blessed man, he's still around. I'm his only grandkid as far as I know. He's worth getting through this for. My friend Bruns, you know, helped me get this apartment I tell you about. Worth it. All of y'all, worth it, man. My boy T, I don't want these people to have to suffer me not being here because I wasn't strong enough to live through my situation. So anybody who saw my BDF Therapy Session 43, yeah, it does get that bad. Yes, it does. It does. It gets that bad. But I'm not without loved ones and friends and people that are worth sitting in the fire for or getting out and facing the troubles for. So because I am alone in this house does not mean that I'm alone in terms of the people that care about me. And so I don't want that to be a misconstrued situation. You know, I don't want people to say, oh, he's alone. Where's his family at? If something were to happen to me, why didn't y'all help him? Do not do that. Do not do that, because I did not allow my family as close to me as I should have in certain situations, but I'm attempting to now. And that's all by choice, and that's all part of the struggle. You know what I mean? So that's what it is, man. And I always say that. I'm like, look, I was raised by a wonderful mom. She may not have knew how to help me, but that wasn't her fault. You know, people give you what they can give you. And one of the things that what I got in prayer in regards to my mother, when I was, it was about 4 or 5 days ago, when I was really just in an ornery mood about my situation, blaming everybody, blaming myself too. Accountability is important, but I was sitting there saying, Mommy could have did this, she should have did that, if she would have did that. And then later on that night, probably later on, maybe as I was in the middle of sleep and in between sleep and awake, it came to me like, if your mother had more, she'd have gave you that too. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it came to me as clear as day, like a voice out of the thin air. It said, if your mother had that, she would have gave it to you too. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing. If you have loved ones in your life that aren't giving you what you need, but you know that they love you, charge it to the game. Just charge it, fam. Because if they had more, they'd give it to you too. You know, and look, it's worth fighting for. Life and people that you care about, it's worth fighting for, man. Don't let yourself give up on life just because you don't see a way. Because you can be that way for somebody else if you fight through it. And that's something I was aware of when I made Therapy Session 43. It was just my truth at the time to tell you guys how unhappy I was and how bad I wanted to get out of this space of unhappiness, and how I felt death would be a solution to do so, which I still believe it is. You know, when you live for 37 years or more or less with certain types of issues and you don't find any hope, and everything you got around you just tells you that it's all bad, yeah, logically speaking, you're definitely going to see escape by any means necessary is something that you'd be willing to consider when things are as bad as I felt and feel they are. But there's a balance to that, to say somebody doesn't want to quit, and maybe you are the solution to them not doing so. But if you can't get through today, and if you can't fight your way through that suicidal mindset, you're going to leave them out to dry, just like you may feel you've been left out to dry. So there's balance, man. There's balance, and I'm able to say both because I believe both. That's what it is, man. I can tell you also this. I'm glad that the Lord gave me the burden that I have. As much as I hate what I'm going through, and as much as I hate that I put myself through this, I also appreciate that he gave it to me, because, as I told my uncle just a minute ago, it allows me to relate to certain things that the average human being may not be able to. It puts me in a mindset to say, I hear what they're saying, but I'm experiencing something that nobody I've ever heard of is experiencing, and it reminds me of what it is that you're going through. Or it seems as if you might be dealing with a taste of what it is I have going on here. And that makes me unique. That makes me valuable in and of itself. And those who champion mental health and the reform of mental health, I think it could help when you have examples of people like myself who can help others who don't understand mental health stuff. You know, it's like you need guys like myself. You need a BDF 44 who can say, yeah, I'm mental. I'm out of it. I got this, that, and the third. But guess what the Lord gave me? Self-awareness personified. I can tell you exactly how we got here. I can tell you in a way that you understand. I can speak to you in a way that helps you realize that I don't have it under control, but still know what control feels, what it's supposed to feel like. You know, I know what being under control looks like, and I can self-diagnose. Like, that is something that I feel is a gift. It's almost a superpower, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know anybody who can do it like this. And so, not to exalt myself in saying so, but it's to remind myself and to others how necessary I am for what it is that we're dealing with in this world, with mental illness being something that most people can't describe. There's 1 million people out here or more, probably in this city alone, who suffer some mental illness that they're not able to express. They suffer some anxiety or been through some childhood trauma or a combination of both, like myself, that just puts them in a space where they're trapped behind their own mind, and no matter how many things you suggest for them to do, they will not allow themselves to do it. No matter how many different things that may be available to them, they can't seem to walk through those doors, or whatever the case may be. The Lord made me that. And so I'm thankful. I'll tell everybody in the world, that in the midst of all my struggles, I am thankful, that I'm going through all of this, because when I get to a space where it's not so bad, and I believe I'll get there, I'm gonna be one heck of a guy to refer to as it pertains to these type of things, so that may be something that you can use yourself, and trying to help your friend or family or neighbor or whomever may be going through something they can't explain to you. So I bear the burden, man. I bear the burden of these mental illness. I bear the burden of my trauma. I bear the burden of my responsibilities, right? And my accountability, which is also important in assessing mental health. We must find balance in the midst of all of this. If you can use your mouth in any way, if you can put your foot forward in any way, then that means that there's some accountability to be taken for your actions. And that was something that me and my uncle talked about, and I see the fruit in that accountability. Even though I've allowed things to get bad, blah, 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 there's still stuff I could have done that could have given me the help, communication that I could have taken, discipline that I could have practiced, that could have put me in a position to be a more stable and more better person. And so even if you're sick, even if you were in a much worse space than me, put down that bottle, you know what I mean? Put down that drug, or maybe that's not the problem. Maybe call that person, answer that phone, whatever it is. There's always accountability to be taken for one situation, and in that accountability will be fruit. In that accountability will be some healing that may not be there otherwise. Because as long as you allow yourself to believe everybody else is the problem, you'll never look inward for the solution, and the problem is always within oneself if it's a mental health issue. So find that accountability, even if it's something small, like I didn't shower enough today. Let me get myself in there and do what I need to do. Accountability is fruit. Seek accountability is what I'm trying to express. Find ways to hold oneself accountable. Find ways of saying I can be better, because that's the process. That's the beginning process of helping oneself. Is first finding ways to look at oneself and seeing where you haven't. You know what I mean? There's a healing process there, and I think that's one of the things my uncle was trying to help me understand as well. Even within all the things, there's something you can do, and you'll heal from understanding that. So, all of that being said, man, I want to bring some positivity for a change. Everything I've been on has been negative. I fed off the energy of my uncle, and my grandfather. Hearing his voice was healing for my spirit as well. I'm so thankful that man is still alive. You know what I'm saying? That's an honorable guy. Served in the military many years, was a drill sergeant, fought in wars. That's a hero right there, my grandfather. And I'm honored to be his grandson for real. I don't get a chance to show love to the people that I love because I'm too busy talking about other stuff in my life. But trust you me, I'm very thankful that I'm a part of that. My uncle, retired colonel in the Air Force, man. These are accomplished dudes, you know what I mean? That's why it hurts me to not be a better extension of them, right? To be a better extension of them. But I look at it like this. Maybe my son will be. Maybe if I'm lucky enough to put myself in a position to be well enough to take on the responsibility of being someone's father, they'll pick up right where they left off at. But what I did, what has helped me is having a bit of their DNA as it pertains to their intellect. Those guys are geniuses, like both of them. They're super geniuses, actually. My uncle got like several doctor's degrees, that kind of thing. They're super geniuses. My grandfather, he was in college at 16 years old. Like, that's where I get all this, articulation and all this different crap that I'm able to do in this camera that makes me sound like I'm intelligent without actually having the school represented to show you that I actually did any schoolwork, because I didn't. I always laugh and tell people, it's amazing that I speak the language, as little school as I allow myself to have, but it's their DNA that allows me to appear as intelligent as I believe I do. They are the geniuses. I get a little bit of that. So yeah, man, that's that self-awareness. That's that being able to put things together, being able to read through between the lines of a lot of things. I got their smarts, and it's helping me through this mental illness issue. So yeah, man. Yeah, that's what I want to say, man. I'm proud of myself. You know what I mean? I'm still standing. I could have very easily went to the highest point and jumped off after making 43, but I didn't do that. I stayed firm. I stayed true, and I talked to you. You know what I mean? I brought myself to this thing even when I didn't feel confident in doing so. I told the truth about how I felt, and it's helped me ultimately pick up the phone and call my family, and we'll see what happens from here. I told them, and I mean this, and I'll tell you this too. If they decide that they don't want to give me any money, or if they decide they don't want to do this, yeah, it'll hurt my feelings, but I honor that, because at the end of the day, I'm a grown man. Whether I got problems or if I just let things get this bad, however you view me, if you think I'm full of crap and deserve the worst, I brought myself to a point to speak to them and tell them that I let things get bad. Not them not helping me over the years, because they did. In their own way, they gave me what they could and what I allowed them to give me based on what it was I was communicating. And I know my uncle also said something that, that really set warm in my spirit that I'm carrying too. He said if my aunt Cheryl was still alive, she would be knocking on my door, checking on me every day. And it's true, man. I had some great family members that's no longer with me anymore. And, that comfort of remembering my aunt Cheryl and how she really loved her not only me and my mother and all of us and staying in our lives and being as beautiful of a soul as she was, but she loved animals, you know what I mean? And she gave homes to animals and made sure that they were safe. She had a passion for dogs. And so I just come from a great set of people, man. And it's a dang shame that I've robbed myself of an opportunity to be close into their lives. And if you had a chance to see some of the people that I'm attached to by family and some of the friends that I've been chosen by and people that I've chosen to be friends with, you would see that is ultimately why I'm still here. Because if I didn't have those positive role models, those prayerful people, those friendly associates and people who have ultimately given me so much to work with, I would have died already. I would not be alive in this camera today. So, I want for you to have that same support. If you have negative people in your life, take it from me, there are good people out there. Just keep allowing your heart to be open for all the different things that are possible, including a better circle for yourself. Not everybody has great family members, not everybody has great friends, and not everybody has anybody at all. So I'm aware of that, and I'm thankful for what I have and for what's not here that I don't need, straight up. So yeah, finally some positive stuff I can share in this therapy session. I'm gonna go check out what my uncle told me to check out. I'm gonna do that for a change, because he always tells me to check out stuff, but I never do it. And things are as bad as they've ever been, but I found the strength to let some people in, and that in and of itself is a milestone, believe it or not. So that's what it is, man. I finally have some good news. BDF 44. Thank y'all for watching.